Anybody could buck the system. Turns out voting is still real.
Oh my gosh. You don't say.
Joe Rogan has suddenly seemed to have come to the realization that Donald Trump was lying the whole time. I guess this was news to Joe Rogan. Everybody else in the world knew it. But now Joe Rogan realizes that. Luke Beasley broke all of this down on his show. We're going to take a look at clips from Joe Rogan's show as well as Luke Beasley breaking this down. I will share my thoughts on all of this as well. Let's check this out together.
I told you yesterday that there's a pretty infuriating phenomenon taking place right now where MAGA, now that Trump has won, goes, bah, we knew all along. What do I mean? They say, we knew that we did try to block the peaceful transfer of power, and the media was correct about that, as Nick Fuentes said. They've gone, we do believe these horrible things that you've accused us of about women. And now we have Joe Rogan here going, wait, maybe it is true that Trump lies blatantly and viciously, this is my characterization of what you're about to hear Rogan say, about our democratic systems and process. Nah, who cares? It's infuriating, but here it is.
So, turns out, voting works. It's real. As much as we fucking thought they had it rigged, as much as we thought there was shenanigans and bullshit, and it's just a puppet show, and there's no way anybody could buck the system, turns out voting is still real.
Oh my gosh. You don't say. You don't say. Joe, who was telling you that before? Who could explain that to you before your guy won? Before we knew who was going to win? Who was telling you that was the case? We were. Any introspection? Nah. Cause we won, so we don't care. But here's what's exciting. All of them admitting and going mask off, it will motivate us so much. And I'm telling you this, not in any way that's supposed to be intimidating or anything, just politically, you will regret this, MAGA. You will regret admitting and showing your true colors and lying about democracy for this long. You're right. You got us this time. I don't deny that. And you feel emboldened. But just this morning, we spent 4 hours working on something that will be our little part. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are going to be doing their part to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I'm going to pause here for just a second to say I hope that Luke Beasley is right, but I don't know that MAGA now being mask off and admitting all of this is going to motivate people any more than they already were. I mean, what in terms of knowing how bad Donald Trump is and how bad the people around him are, what more information did people need about that? We saw the masks off a long time ago. We saw this in the first Trump administration. So I'm not sure what could be revealed now that is going to motivate Democrats or the left more than they already were. Now, the one hope maybe is that things will be bad enough for MAGA under a second Donald Trump term that they will be motivated. I think that's our only hope. If the tariffs have the effect, the negative effect that we think they're going to have, if mass deportation has the negative effects that we think it will have, then maybe, it's going to be a real F around and find out scenario for a lot of MAGA. And they're going to be shocked at some of the horrible consequences of their actions. Will they ever admit that Donald Trump is the cause of that horribleness? Who knows? But them being mask off, I don't think that's going to do anything to motivate the left more than it is.
A reminder of Joe Rogan just days before the election, entertaining Trump's election delusions.
I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over again that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed? Everybody always cuts you off. I'm going to allow...
Well, they not only cut you off. Well, what I'd rather do is we'll do it another time, and I would bring in papers that you would not believe, so many different papers That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay, but give me some examples of how.
Well, let's start on the top and the easy ones.
Okay.
They were supposed to get legislative approval to do the things they did, and they didn't get it. In many cases, they didn't get it.
What things?
Anything.
Legislative approval
like
of...
for extensions of the voting, for voting earlier, for this,
Right.
for all different things. By law, they had to get legislative approvals. You don't have to go any further than that. If you take a look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted that the election was rigged, robbed, and stolen. They wouldn't give access in certain areas to the ballots because the ballots weren't signed. They weren't originals. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present this ever? Like, do you think like?
Let me just give you one more
go ahead.
before. 51 intelligence agents come up that the laptop was from Russia. It turned out to be totally false.
51 former intelligence agents, right?
They say that made. I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost.
And we watched this already, and I went through each of the points that he just listed off there, and they're completely ridiculous. And so we circle back to this.
So, turns out voting works. It's real. As much as we fucking thought they had it rigged.
Isn't it hilarious? We spent the whole time Biden was president telling people we should throw out our entire system of government. Trump saying the Constitution could be terminated because all of the vote counting processes had been tainted, and it was all rigged because we just took Trump's word for it. Even when he tries to explain it, it was completely incoherent. It was mumbo jumbo, and we were wrong. Well, shoot, who cares now? And
Luke Beasley is right. Who does care now? It doesn't matter. The MAGA is just going to say, yeah, the election, hey, guess what? This time it worked right. They weren't able to cheat and steal it. Everything's good with voting now. Until the next time around when there's a possibility that a Democrat could win, and then it will be, oh, it's rigged and all of that all over again. And, back to something that Luke Beasley said in the beginning about Trump being Joe Rogan's boy. It was only a few months ago, I believe, that Joe Rogan was saying he would never have Trump on his show. He didn't want to platform him. He would not endorse him. And what changed? What changed for Joe Rogan? And some people are calling this the Joe Rogan election, that he helped. I mean, he definitely played some part in helping Donald Trump to get elected. But what impacted him having Donald Trump on his show and platforming this horrible person play in him winning? So some of that is on Joe Rogan. So if things go really sideways, of course, Joe Rogan is never going to take any responsibility for that, but some of this is going to be on his hands.
one of the things that I said, I think it was in the bonus show yesterday, was MAGA will never know how it feels to have their democracy attacked like we had to experience. They'll never know how it feels to not know if the peaceful transfer of power is going to happen when you win. They knew for certain, and we're seeing it play out admirably, that if Trump won, Biden, Harris would accept it. Biden inviting Trump to the White House, saying there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. He respects the legitimacy of our democracy as much as he disagrees with the results. Because he has character. Harris has character. We have character. And we care about our democracy enough to even accept its results when Trump loses, when Trump wins, when the worst happens.
This is another thing where I would say Luke Beasley is right to a degree, that they haven't had democracy threatened for them in this instance, in terms of January 6th and all of that they think is a hoax and was a peaceful guided tour and all of that. But F around and find out is going to be the theme of the next 4 years, I believe. And MAGA is going to be shocked at the threats to democracy that they're going to care about and are going to affect them. Things like federal workers losing their jobs. How many of those federal workers are MAGA? I know a lot personally that live near me. A lot of teachers who are MAGA. Could be some real negative impacts on teachers with Donald Trump getting rid of the Department of Education, or his administration planning to do so. So there's going to be a lot of F around and find out, and a lot of threats to democracy that they never thought of. A lot of unintended consequences of their vote for MAGA. Let me know what you think about what Luke Beasley had to say. Let me know what you think about the fact that Joe Rogan has suddenly, a light bulb has gone off and Donald Trump lied, and also that voting works and it's not all a scam and a hoax and rigged and all of that all of that was BS. Let me know what you think in the comments about Joe Rogan, Luke Beasley, Donald Trump. Anything else that you want to comment on? Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm growing really quickly on the channel, getting close to 50,000 subscribers. I'd like to get to 50,000, 100,000 and beyond. So if you like this content, please subscribe. If you don't like the content, watch somebody else's channel. But if you like this content and you want to see more of it, please subscribe if you haven't done so. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.